Hi guys, Yussef here, and welcome to Movie Thoughts, the show where we talk about movies. Today's episode we're going to be talking about Jurassic Park. Released in 1993, Jurassic Park was directed by Steven Spielberg and stars Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Richard Attenborough. The story is about a magnificent theme park inhabited by dinosaurs. But when the power goes out, all hell breaks loose. Jurassic Park holds a special place in my heart. It is actually one of my top 5 favorite movies, which is a topic for another video later on. But it's a movie that I used to watch all the time when I was a kid, and it's a movie that doesn't matter how many times I watch it, it always captures my imagination. I'm always down to watch this movie. I can never get tired of it. This movie has so many great qualities. It has these amazing, breathtaking effects that still hold up today. It has a great storyline with a lot of action, a lot of drama. It has these super fun and enjoyable characters, and it has a really interesting message about science and the way that scientists are affecting nature and the world around us. One of Jurassic Park's greatest assets are its effects. This is one of the first movies to pioneer the use of CGI in movies, and the results are breathtaking. And these are effects that are still relevant, they are still holding up today. But one of the more interesting things is the way that this movie blended CGI with practical effects, such as puppets and animatronics, and it's a seamless blend. You can sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference between what is the puppet and what is the actual CGI. And one scene in particular is for me the kitchen scene with the raptors. That is such a seamless blend because you have a couple of shots here where it'll be the animatronic raptors that are being controlled by a technician while they were doing the shoot. And then the next shot will show the kids kind of running around, but then the next shot will have a CGI raptor jumping on top of a table and just showing such lifelike and fluid motion to it. And it's just an amazing process to watch. Something that's great about the effects as well is the fact that a lot of it looks real. Specifically those puppets. They made a giant T-Rex puppet, and it looks terrifying. It looks so very real, and that's because it's real. And even then, the CGI still looks great on it because you can see the pebbling on the skin, you can see fat jiggle, you can see little lines of detail, and it's just amazing. Another great thing about Jurassic Park is its sound and its music. Sounds that for me are considered iconic, because you have the sounds of the T-Rex roar, the sounds of the velociraptors calling each other, and their communication skills and everything, and just seeing, the big momentous scene where you see the water cup, the boom, boom, like that is such an iconic scene, and the sound has so much to do with that, to the point where that specific sound has been imitated, it has been parodied, it's just been in so many things now, and it's a universal sound at this point. And don't even get me started on John Williams' amazing score for this film. It's just a mix because it has these really fast-paced action scenes with this beautiful flourishing violence and these songs that give you such a moment of tension and despair, but then you have these moments where it's just Alan Grant and the kids, and they're just having this tender moment, and the music is just so emotional. It's so almost sad and bittersweet. And I mean, John Williams, I think this is one of his greatest musical scores, and considering he's done some of the most iconic scores in all of film history, that's saying a lot. Jurassic Park has so many iconic and famous scenes that are just part of movie history at this point. Like, you have this opening scene where you see the dinosaur for the first time in the movie, and just like these characters, you're seeing this creature for the first time, and the camera just pans up and you see this huge, just towering Brachiosaurus, and you feel such a sense of awe and wonderment. And then you see this the sweeping shot of all these animals, all these herbivores, just kind of running around, and you know it's kind of hard to believe that these are real living creatures, because that's what it feels like. They feel like they're actual, real, living, breathing creatures that are actually in our world. And the fact that Steven Spielberg can manage to do that with dinosaurs is just amazing, because these are things that were considered B movies in the 40s and 50s, where nobody really gave a care about it. And the fact that now, you know, we just released a 5th Jurassic movie, that's testament to the fact that this movie has kind of created a renaissance for dinosaur movies, and just adventure films in general. And of course, we can't talk about Jurassic Park without mentioning some of its characters. I mean, you have Sam Neill's Alan Grant, who is kind of the voice of reason in this film, and he's the dinosaur expert. And, you know, as the movie says, what better place to lead these children to Jurassic Park than a dinosaur expert? And then you have Richard Attenborough as John Hammond, who's this kind of eccentric, rich landowner, and he's also he kind of reminds me of a Walt Disney type of character, where what he wants to do is bring joy to families and just give them something that they had never seen before, which is something that Walt Disney was a big proponent of. And then of course you have the best character in the whole film, Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm, one of the funniest, one of the best characters in all of film. And not just because he's funny, but because he's also kind of the audience in terms of what he says. He embodies what the audience is thinking, especially during that specific scene when they're all having lunch, and he's talking about how, you know, these characters have pushed science to its boundaries, and instead of, you know, trying to revel in this discovery, what they want to do is they want to patent it, they want to sell it, they want to make money off of it, instead of, you know, using their scientific ability to try to think about what they could do to make the world around them better, other than, you know, instead of just selling it, instead of just making money off of it. And I think one of the more iconic scenes, or one of the more iconic lines that he says in this movie is how he calls science the rape of the natural world. This movie has such a big message about science and nature, and how science can sometimes pervert nature, and how it sometimes can hurt nature. And it's very interesting how the movie decides to approach that in a way that right off the bat you see how nature immediately takes hold over science, and, you know, the power goes out, these dinosaurs escape, they're roaming free, and it's essentially begins a new age of the dinosaurs on this island, where the dinosaurs rule and nature has taken over the scientific approach that these characters took to create these dinosaurs. One of the things that Jurassic Park did really well as well was the way its scenes were built and the way its scenes were executed. Because you have these scenes that have such great tension to them, like the T-Rex escaping its paddock, one of the more iconic scenes in cinema history in my opinion. And, you know, the moment where these characters are trying to stand still, they're not supposed to be moving, and at the same time you're like, I don't want to move either, because what if this thing goes after me, you know? And it's this moment of great tension that just keeps building and building and building until this suspenseful climactic moment where the T-Rex attacks the car that these children are in, and you really feel that this is a dangerous situation. And Steven Spielberg, as always, did such a great job with bringing these scenes to life. The next big scene there is the kitchen scene with all the raptors. I mean, if you wanted tension in the movie, just show this scene, and you'll immediately get this sense of, oh my god, I hope the raptors don't catch these kids, because this is gonna get ugly. And it's just this moment of like your hairs are standing up on end, the hairs on the back of your neck are pricking up, and you're like, man, this is just intense, this is just crazy, oh my god. And I mean, I can't think of any other way to describe these scenes as other than tense. But then you have these really tender moments. For example, you have the scene where Grant is with the two kids, Lex and Tim, and they're on top of a tree. And you know, he's just kind of sitting there with them. He's trying to calm them down, and you know, he promises that he's going to stay with them the entire night, that he's going to take care of them. And it's just this beautiful moment, because at first Grant is kind of adamant, and he's kind of scared of children to the point, you know, because he doesn't like children at first, but then as the movie progresses, he slowly develops a love for children and a love for taking care of children. And that was kind of the turning point in that film, when he has these kids around his arms, and he's like, these are human beings that I need to protect. And you have that moment. You also have the moment in which you know, the end of the movie, after they've escaped the island, and these kids are in the helicopter with all the adults, and you see, you know, Ellie, Laura Dern's character, looking at Alan and seeing the big change in him, and seeing, you know, how the island has really changed things for everybody. And I thought that was a really well executed scene as well. Now, we do have to talk about that final scene with the raptors and the T-Rex, and it's just this amazing scene where these characters are cornered by two raptors, and you know, just when you think the situation couldn't get any worse, or you know that this is going to be the end of the line for these characters, the T-Rex just comes out of nowhere and becomes the hero of the story, because he saves these characters by taking down these raptors in this amazing scene where he's just knocking raptors around left and right. And then she's a girl, she lets out this huge, magnificent roar that just emphasizes how she is the queen in this island, and there's nothing bigger or badder than her. Now, there is one thing that I noticed, and I swear these are just small nitpicky things, but the more I watch this movie, the more little itty bitty mistakes I notice, and these are mistakes in terms of little errors that are just made throughout the shoots. One of them being when the helicopter is landing on the island, you see these Jeeps already parked there, but then as soon as they step out the helicopters, the Jeep kind of pull back. The Jeeps, you know, pull up into the shot again, and it's just weird. And then you have this scene where they're the big, you know, iconic scene when they're going into the gates. Let's say Jurassic Park. They show this shot, like here's the car and here's the camera, so they show you like the top of the car, and they also show you the top of the gate. And one of the fences on the gate just ends. You can see where it ends, and it's like a logic error where you're like, the dinosaurs could just walk straight out through there. But it's just these small little nitpicky things that, you know, first couple of viewings you didn't notice, but considering I've seen the movie countless times, I just keep noticing them. But it never detracts from the overall experience. It never detracts from this being such an amazing movie. I think Jurassic Park has had such a huge cultural impact because of its memorable characters, these great memorable scenes as well, scenes that have been satirized, they've been imitated, they've been copied many times, but at the same time you can't, you know, they've been influenced to make other movies, but at the same time there's just nothing quite like those original scenes. But I mean, it's one of the movies that inspired me to get into filmmaking and inspired me to get into screenwriting, and I owe a lot to Jurassic Park, and I owe a lot to Steven Spielberg's vision for that movie. I give Jurassic Park an A+. It's had Jurassic Park is one of those movies that just has everything that works and everything just clicks together. Like, you have great memorable characters, these scenes that still hold up today, these effects that are still breathtaking to this day. You have these moments that are forever ingrained in pop culture at this point, and You know, that's not an easy feat to accomplish, and the fact that Steven Spielberg was able to accomplish this is just a testament as to how great and how amazing a director he is, and how in tune he is with what people want. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching my movie thoughts episode of Jurassic Park. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know I had a blast making this video. If there's anything that you'd like me to cover on the show, please go ahead and just drop it in the comments. I'll be sure to check it out for you if I haven't seen it, and I'll be sure to do a movie thoughts on it for you. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Click right here, become a part of the Cyborg Army today.